Greetings there, ladies and gentlemen. Hardy J here once again with a thoughts and discussion video on Life is Strange. And joining me today is this gentleman over here, OtakuOps.
Yo guys, how's it going? OtakuOps here. So yeah, we're gonna do a kind of autopsy dissection video of Life is Strange.
Game came out in 2015, in January actually. That's episode 1. Let's start with, because the guest always starts, let's see how you learned about the game.
Okay, yeah, so for me, it was just a thing on Steam as far as I remember. It was like in the recommendations one day, and I saw the trailer. I thought it was interesting. I saw the storm thing coming, and I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. I knew that it was a kind of adventure slash decision-making game, and I like that because I like Mass Effect. Mass Effect had choices.
Yeah.
So great, I thought it was cool. And of course, later on, I just want to mention it. I got the book. I got the art book, and I also got. This is a very rare thing, I think. It's a Falls ending credit song, which has the instrumental, which I want to do a cover at some point. So that's it.
So for me, I saw it was a YouTube video. I can't remember, because I see tons of videos from GameSpot, IGN, so forth, and they always have trailers saying, "Hey, this game's coming up." So it's a teaser. It was probably in 2014, because it came out in January, and I don't know what drawed me, but the visual style, the art, because this teaser trailer really brought the art and just the visual, and I was like, whoa, I gotta check this out. I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't know exactly what it was or what everything. And then eventually I was on the fence when the first chapter came out, and I played through a little bit, the first not an hour, half hour of it, and I was like, characters good. The art style, I found them to be a little bland at first, very flat, but it fits the feel, because it's all about Max is in art school, so you got an artistic type feel, and it's almost pastel-y at times. It looks like there's a lot of art in the game, and when I played the first episode, I was pretty much hooked, even to the ending, and then you got that hook, and they did it very well, and it continues on in each of the chapters, definitely.
Yeah, the name of the first episode, by the way, is Chrysalis, and Chrysalis means quiescent insect pupa, especially of a butterfly or moth. We're going to talk about butterflies later on.
Oh yeah.
But it's basically also, it can be a transitional state, which the game is kind of about. It's a coming of age story, partially. There's more, but this is definitely one theme of it.
No, there's many themes, and that's one of them. But I can agree with you. It's a very certain characters like Max and Chloe are going, they're familiar with something, but they're going in something new. And we'll get into the characters a little bit more, but yeah, this transitional stage of going from the pupa to the butterfly, basically. So it's the first step, a chapter 1 per se.
Right. Yeah. And I also was reading about it the other day. The developers who made this game, they actually even admitted that basically especially the first episode was just full of stereotypes.
Oh yeah.
We see a lot of stereotypes, like, for example, Victoria, she's the typical. Can we curse on this channel?
Uh, yeah, it's over a minute, so yeah.
All right, so she's basically like the traditional bitch.
Yeah. It's good for storytelling, and then also it's good to have those traits, those characteristics kind of broken later on and as they grow, evolve, and so forth. I want to definitely talk about one later on and probably in a different episode, but one definitely comes to mind where you have a different opinion now than at the end. You kind of probably on who I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, for me, this game came kind of an interesting time because even when I was growing up, like mostly in the 90s, the world is completely different now.
Hmm.
People have different priorities. A lot of people are basically on OnlyFans doing,
Oh yeah.
strange services.
Oh yeah.
And this stuff just didn't exist like 20 years ago. So also it came at a interesting time in my life because I was like questioning a lot of things. I was kind of doubting things, and this game makes you like pick decisions, like sometimes
Oh,
very hard decisions,
that's very true.
and we'll definitely talk about that more.
Oh, definitely. And talking about the time of what a good time in your life when this game came out for myself, I was going through very deep depression and wanting to change the past. So, seeing that how this talks about time travel and you can change the past, it's like, oh, it just really stuck with me, especially in later chapters. But like, it kind of helped me be like, hey, guess what? Yeah, like you wish you could go back and change the past, but that doesn't always happen. And you just got to accept what life throws at you and you just got to deal with it.
You get the hallway thing where she walks out, and
Yeah.
you have to go to the bathroom basically.
Yeah.
And when she gets out, she turns on the music. There is a great song, and I just want to comment on the song very quickly.
Mm.
That song is actually a parody on American Girls. It's if you
I can
actually
see
read
that.
the lyrics. Yeah, yeah.
I can see that.
If you read the lyrics, you'll see that first it starts okay, but then there is kind of a criticism of American
Mm.
girls in general, the stereotypes anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a good song. And the hallway scene, I just thought, wow, this is cinematic. So now that's going to be an interesting experience.
Almost definitely. I think the hallway scene is a good setup for the minor characters because you can literally go down and it reminds you of going back like in high school. You see all these people and it's like, oh, that person does that or that person is known for that. And it's like it's all in your head because you don't say this, you don't say these things to these people. But you're going down and perfect for the example in the back is we're going along the hallway and Max is having little comments about every single person that she's going with. So it's good to set up like the minor characters and being like, oh, we're gonna probably run into these and they're gonna play maybe like a small role to like a minor small role in the story ahead. And some of them, yeah, they're one I have to say is the one is Alyssa, where you have to save her every single episode in some like minute way, like her getting hit by a football or toilet paper or something. And you just have to come up to her and say, "Can you move?"
Alyssa, move your head.
If you insist, Max.
And that's it.
Right.
That's it. So it's like a little minor thing. And there's like, the clicks. It's established almost right at the beginning that, you got your groups, you got your like shy geek people, your sports people, and then your vortex people. And we're definitely going to get into that more. And
Yeah, just one thing I want to quickly mention here. This game, it depends how deep you want to go into it.
Oh.
So basically, you can just go from point A to point B, and that's fine. You'll get the story. But to really get into the background of things, you really do have to read everything and talk to every character, and it's all about immersion.
Exactly. And the video in the back where you go to the billboard and you just check what's going on and you see other characters and their personality show on that. It's like one's looking for, like, there's a I think a ongoing gag throughout the entire chapters about someone trying to find their cat pics, and they eventually do find them. But the thing is, it's not really in the open. You got to look at the environment and check out post-its and bulletin boards and all that. You totally miss it if you don't do that. And I want to point out another thing is the best thing, and a lot of people don't do this, is checking Max's diary.
Yeah.
Like every scene transition or something, like something happens, she writes something about it. And if that event changes, it changes what she writes. Again, later on in other circumstances, let's just say, that changes also. And I really find that really intriguing. Like, it's about, like you said, it depends how deep you want to go with this.
Wait, just you briefly mentioned time travel, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess in the game it's fair to say that she's basically rewinding back time. You're gonna do a lot of rewinding in the game. Like just from a physics point of view, very quickly, there is a very famous, physicist in the UK called Brian Cox, and he's basically said that time travel to the past may be impossible. Going to the future, though, is possible. So, but again, we don't know. This is very speculative.
Kind of also what brought me into this, like about the whole time travel, and again, if it's done right, it's good, and if it's really done terribly, it's really bad. And I have to say, Life is Strange, it really does it good, because it dabbles, it doesn't explain anything. Like, I played through the entire game and I'm like, why is Max have these powers? Like, where do they come from? Like, what it never explained. Like, there's hints here and there, but it's never blatantly said that she gets this powers from here.
I just hope that eventually, like in the future, because I know they're still making more of Life is Strange games, maybe they will kind of meet or something and use their combined powers for stuff.
Like
I doubt
Avengers
it, but
type
it's
thing.
possible. Maybe.
Yeah, because I think each major character or someone linked to the main character have some sort of special powers of some sort. Again, I only dabbled into a little bit. There's not really anything to do with Before the Storm because it's a prequel to this. And the new one, True Colors, I haven't touched yet. So let's get on to, I guess, the first major decision, seeing that we're almost there. Nathan's gun. So you have a choice of reporting him to the principal
Or not.
and it's a choice. You even if you go to the door and ignore the principal, he calls you over and you have to make a decision.
For me, I know now in hindsight, I know a better solution, but I think in the heat of the moment, you basically feel like, yeah, reporting because, it's a crime. Nobody should have a gun in school except maybe the guard or something. Ordinary students should definitely not have weapons. The impulse is to report his ass. But in reality, it's not quite like that. What about yourself?
So for me, I was pretty much the same way. Like, guns at school is a big no. And even though he's like one of these rich kids, thinks that he's all that. Again, it's a weapon, and gotta have some gun control. Doesn't matter. And yeah, I reported him, and I'm like, because I was really hooked. I was like, okay, this guy is a bad seed. I want to see where it goes. So yeah, I reported him, but in hindsight, yeah, but again, there's consequences to this action. Depends on what you do. If you do nothing, it affects later on decisions, and if you report them, it affects later on decisions also. Like most immediate, but also later on in decisions. So.
Yeah, I think like in the context of this particular video, we have to talk about the impacts on the future episodes.
Yeah.
So yes, we will talk about the episodes later.
Yeah.
But as far as the decision goes, this particular one, it's probably best to not report him just based on the other consequences. So just bear that in mind.
I totally agree. Because you're like, if you play it as is, you think that this guy is pretty much behind it all. He's the mastermind doing this, and when you get into like more of the story where you deal with the missing girls, let's bring it up to the dark room. You think that this guy is the big honcho, which in actual fact, he's not. He's just another pawn in someone else's plan.
He is, yeah.
And in the end, you almost kind of feel sorry for him a little bit.
Yeah. So if you look at the decisions of other players, so yeah, when you finish the game, you're gonna get a screen of stats, basically like how other people played it and what they chose. It all gets recorded online, and then people can see that. So in this particular case, 62% chose to report him.
Yep.
So yeah, for this, I guess this is from the first gameplay because I don't records really the first one. So yeah, people also kind of got sucked into it, like.
I believe that's good storytelling. Also, you want to bring expectations, and then in the end, you want to break those expectations and change and all that. So you think this Nathan's a bad seed, and he's like, holy cow, like, this guy has a gun, he's at school, he's trying to kill a fellow student because you don't know who this girl is. He's in the girls' washroom, first of all, so that's weird to begin with. You could really get sucked in and be like, holy jeez, like, this is serious.
Yep. So the next one, what do you have for decisions?
For decisions, the next major decision
the Victoria thing
is the Victoria thing. So we'll set up the scene. You have to get into the dormitory, and Victoria and her, I guess, minions, or I think she calls them minions, or are on the steps and letting no one in it all. So
Right.
Max has to find a way, and this is, I guess, the gameplay in this game is to find solutions to problems like this. And solution is to get her off by turning up the sprinkler system, tampering with the paint can. So the groundskeeper Samuel goes up, starts painting the windows. The water comes on. Victoria gets up. The paint can falls down. Paint goes all over her. She freaks out a little bit. Her minions go inside to get a towel. She sits on the stairs, very kind of lonesome, and what I can't really what Max says. Like she's lonely and all that. So you go up to her and you have a choice of making fun of her or comforting her.
Yeah. So, well, we already talked about Victoria, actually. I already mentioned that she was
Yeah.
a stereotypical bitch, basically.
Yes.
That is true. And definitely she behaves like it, like this very rich, preppy kind of girl.
Yeah.
But in the conversations, it becomes clear that she's actually quite lonely. Like, yeah, she's surrounded by those two other girls, but like there's nothing there. It's just
Superficial.
it's very superficial, right? And again, you can be mean to her. You can make fun that, hey, like the paint can fell on you, or you can comfort her. I went with comfort her because there's no point to kick a dead horse, as we say.
Yeah. And that's what I did the first time also. Because, again, I have to commend this group in the writing style. You really get sucked in with the characters, and they really, yeah, like everyone's a stereotype, but the thing is, you get sucked into those stereotypes, and it's like, okay, she's the rich, preppy bitch, basically. But the thing is, when she's not around anyone, she's kind of subdued and kind of alone. And you get that in this moment. And you kind of feel sorry for her a little bit. It's like, oh wow, it's like I'm could reach out and be like an actual friend to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's go with the other foot here. Is that making fun of her, which I have actually done. I have to say Max really does some good stingers in there.
Oh, wait, hold that pose.
No.
And no filter needed before I post this.
Making fun of her, and you obviously you take a picture of her in this state, and that has minor consequences with other people, like Warren. Later on, you show the picture of him, and then also in Chloe's room in this same episode, she looks at it and she just makes a comment on it. And I believe it's in an episode 2 also, that Victoria steals the picture back.
Mm-hmm.
And it really just kind of stays like that. In hindsight, I have to say, comforting her sounds like the right idea, but it might not be in the long run. And that's due to one decision later on in episode 4.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, in the stats, I think 74% chose to comfort her.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the right thing to do. One thing we forgot to mention, by the way, is before the Nathan thing, there is the butterfly.
Yeah.
And the butterfly in the bathroom, the butterfly actually represents different things for different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
For example, for Christians, butterfly is a symbol of rebirth. But in Japanese folklore, it's more like a memory soul of a deceased loved one.
Mhm.
Famous in China, it's something else. In Greece, it's kind of a soul once again.
Mhm.
And of course, butterfly is also a universal symbol of beauty. Somebody who looked into the files of Life is Strange noticed that the texture for the butterfly
Mhm.
has the name of Chloe in it,
Yeah.
and so that's like major spoiler there.
Well, yeah. I did want to bring it up, but I was going to bring it up that there's like that meaning behind a loved one or someone that Max truly cared about symbolizes through there, and there's a big hint in one of the endings that you see that butterfly again,
Right.
and you'd be like, oh yeah, that okay, that makes sense now. Again, it's all about, I guess, time travel. And the thing is that maybe that butterfly came back from the future to that moment to cause
Yeah.
things to happen. And that's speculation, but still possibly.
Yeah, because like the character of Chloe, right? She's basically the what do you call it? Like the catalyst or something.
Yeah.
She's like if she's not there, Max does not do much. Just goes to the classroom, chats to people, goes back to the dorm. That's it. Next day, rinse and repeat. Chloe is the one that really kind of takes her out of her comfort zone. And hey, let's go to the swimming pool at night, etc. So there's
Yeah.
more stuff later.
And you get the sense of that with Max, like in these opening parts where she just does the formulaic thing of like going to class, going to there, maybe hang out with a friend. Very like very reductantly. It's like I don't really want to do this, but I guess I have to. The next major decision is Kate and David's interaction together.
Interaction. Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
So that one is interesting because again, the game gives you just very basic information like, oh, like this guy shows up and he's kind of pissed and he's well, that's all you know really about him at the first. And so that's already forms a kind of mental image that okay, this guy is probably an ass as well. And
well, he definitely
so
comes off
he
like an
does.
ass at the beginning. Yeah.
He does. He does. But of course, you have to play more. There's more to the story. There's more to the character.
No.
So when it comes to this decision, you can take a photo of it or you can intervene. 84% of players intervened, and I agree with that. Nobody should be in a position where somebody really kind of lectures you for no really good reason. Because yeah, he thinks Kate did something,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have evidence, and it just comes off as very
Creepy.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, no, I intervened also at the beginning, and most of the time, if I'm playing this game, unless I'm playing just to see what happens, if I'm playing a game to play the game, I intervene with pretty much anything to do with Kate. I help her out tremendously throughout the first chapter and the second chapter as much as I can, because once we get to the second chapter, let's just say something big happens and it gets traumatic, like wow, like
yeah.
very emotional. This game tears through your emotions a lot.
It does. Interesting point about Kate. The big thing with her story is that there's a lot of rumors in the Blackwell College about a sex tape, basically.
Yeah.
And of course, now we live in technology era, and the kind of thing is actually, unfortunately, quite common. There's things like revenge porn, which you can go to jail for. So this is very serious topics. And also there is a technology called deepfake where, you know, they can take a video and basically put your face on that. So
Yeah.
you can have a porno video and they just put your face there and send it to coworkers and whatever. Huge issue. It can get you into a world of trouble, can get you fired, etc., etc.
No, indeed.
So
And
definitely this is one of the big like topics of the game.
no doubt. Well, surveillance, being watched, not knowing who's watching, and rumors. Like there's a lot of rumors in this, not just with Kate. There's tons of rumors with everyone. The big one also to bring up is Rachel. You hear about this girl all throughout the game. You hear tons that you still don't know until chapter 5 that what happened? No, 4. End of 4. And all throughout you're like, what's true, what's not? But yeah, with Kate, she went to a party, she tried to interact. She's your stereotypical church girl that's a goody. So obviously the meaner student body played on that and decided to drug her, I guess. Yeah, drug, and make a ridiculous video that compromises her position in what she is, and she's just really broken up about it in this one and the next episode also.
I guess for the minor decisions, again, it just depends how much immersion you want to get.
Exactly.
If you just want to get through the story, I mean, like the canon story, you just basically go to these big decisions.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you really want to immerse yourself in the environment and with the characters, then you can do a bunch of like minor choices. There's also like optional photos you can take, which unlock certain things.
Yeah.
Nothing really groundbreaking.
That's very true. And if
Except maybe the petition.
No, not really. That's
not really.
Doesn't really go too well. And I want to bring up looking through the global stats of this is there's a lot of huge splits where you know, you think, hey, you know, if you talk to this person, you'll probably go one way, and the global stats say no, and that shows that a lot of people probably haven't talked to or even went to that like immersion. It just went to like the major ones.
Like I mentioned, well, I made a kind of promo video yesterday for this video, and I mentioned that some of the choices are kind of shocking in a way. And the one that jumps to mind is Dana's pregnancy test.
Oh yeah.
Now, look, I get it. People don't like to be nosy.
Yeah.
Again, the story kind of makes you really look at the test. I mean, because that advances things. But apparently 98% of people didn't. That's almost everybody. And that I don't understand.
There's also a thing with that is that you can look at it and then rewind so you don't actually have like there. And the thing is that you talk to Dana afterwards about it, and that brings up another option to say, hey, I heard a rumor about you, you know, and then she brings up the pregnancy. If you don't touch it, you don't have that option. But there's also, like, if you touch it and you just leave, there are other minor options to talk to, I think, who is it, Zachary? It's not Zachary.
Yeah,
Is it Logan or Zachary? I can't remember who.
Could be Logan. Yeah.
Logan, yeah. You can talk to Logan and tell him that he's like a piece of shit and all that afterwards.
Nope. The other minor decisions are like a bit later. We haven't gotten there yet, but it's the Chloe Snow Globe, the evidence, and David's files.
Yeah.
I personally I don't know much about these. What about yourself?
The snow globe. Personally, I have to say it's sentimental to Chloe because she got it from her father, her actual real father. When you're looking around a room and you break it, she just says, "Oh, dude, it's my snow globe."
Dude, you broke my glass snow dough. Thanks.
She sounds so not broken up about it. Like it's like I thought she would be like super pissed or something, but no, she's just very subdued about it. And the only thing that brings to the table, I think in episode 4, when you go to the house in a certain time period in the past, the snow globe is on the fireplace, and then Max comments how she
Right.
didn't break it or did break it. That's about it. So it's a little minor one. And then the files with David is that Max goes through basically looking for screwdrivers to fix her camera. So I don't know why Chloe is just, being herself in the room. And again, I don't know why you invite someone over and basically ignore them and being like, "Hey, guess what? You look for your
Yeah, that
tools
was
yourself."
weird. Yeah.
Which is, I've found that whole, like, yeah, it builds character, and Chloe is missing Rachel and so forth. And that's the thing is with Chloe and Max have this disconnect at that time where they were friends, and then Max moved away, and then she came back, and then Max didn't really be, "Hey, like when I got back, let's hit up Chloe and see what she has there." She stayed away, and obviously Chloe's a little pissed about that. So you go through her place, and this is where you find that David is Chloe's stepdad. And again, I thought Max would freak out a little bit more because she's dealt with David in even this episode with Kate, and she's like, "Oh, Chloe's stepdad is the head of security at Blackwell."
Chloe's stepdad is head of security at Blackwell.
Just so in like a monotone voice, and I thought she would be like, "Oh my god," she's like, no, very subdued.
It is.
But
yeah.
again, you have a choice to go snooping, and then you find the surveillance system that David put together in the house. Again, I don't know why Joyce and Chloe have no idea about it. Again, I don't know. I guess he's very good at hiding the cameras or something.
He must be. I mean, especially these days, cameras are like this big, so you can hide them anywhere, really.
And then you go over a little bit more, and then you find the files, and then the thing is you have to drop them in oil, and then look through them. And then these files are the dirt, I guess, that David's trying to dig up on Kate. And again, at this point, you really don't know what's going on with that. It's like he looks like a creep, especially if you're seeing how he was going on with Kate just like half hour ago with the in front of the dormitories.
Right.
You could leave the evidence in the oil for him to find, and then that comes to a thing later on.
I ordered you to never go through my files. You obviously have.
I didn't touch your files, David. I could care less about your files.
Or you can rewind and have it not happen, but go through it. And then that brought up to Chloe later on in the episode.
Yeah. So the major choice there, and this is like ridiculous, by the way. The first time I played it, I totally fell in the trap. I just didn't see it. There's basically like this closet thing, and I think there's a light you have to move, basically.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about that. I thought it's just there, And of course, yeah, it falls down, and then I think everything opens up, and there you are in the open. So yeah, the choice there is they argue. So David and Chloe argue. You can take the blame. You can do nothing. Or you can do nothing and then come out.
Yeah.
Which I did actually. That's what I did. But if you look at the other people's decisions, it's kind of only around 30%. Like only 30% of people intervened here. So
Yeah.
most people chose to stay hidden in the closet, I guess.
Well, for my first one is that I hid and then came out and took the blame. That's the first time. Because again, you get hooked and it's like, oh, well, I kind of feel bad for Chloe. And if you actually did get through the scene and you stay hidden, then David like slaps her and you're like, wow, like that's not right. And you're
No.
like, wow, okay, so you rewind that and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to come in and be like, I'll take the blame.
He's mad at her for like some reason. I can't remember what it is. But then he notices that she's smoking pot.
Yeah.
And that just makes him enraged. And again, like pot these days is a big kind of hot topic, especially in Canada and the US. Personally, for me, well, I live in Japan. In Japan, they have a zero tolerance policy on marijuana in general, which I disagree with. I think it's one of those soft drugs. Just make it legal, because the problem right now is that a lot of it is owned by cartels. And so if you buy it, money goes to these cartels, which is not good.
Yeah.
So at least if you make it legal, it goes back into the economy basically, and that's great, because with cartels it just disappears. They keep it. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah. I think the reason I'm trying to think like that he busts this into Chloe's room is that one of his guns is missing. And
Right.
he thinks that she took it. And
Right.
he has no evidence, but he kind of thinks, and he comes in and Chloe thinks that, well, he's just on one of his rampages again and just kind of dismisses it. And then he notices the pot, and then that sends him over the edge, and then sends her off the edge. And then if you stay hidden, that's where he slaps her. And you can see the frustration, and I can relate to that sometimes, where I have a daughter and then she frustrates me, but I'm like like David, he does not know how to deal with his emotions. He does not. And that's because he's a soldier. He was a soldier, and you're meant to be, suppressing those emotions and going out to war. It's also another stereotype where you play it up and be like, oh, well, this character is like this. And again, later on, expectations are changed. Yes. And so, yeah, that's what it is. Like the chemistry between pretty much everyone in the Price household, they go off of each other in some way. Like obviously Joy and David, they're married, so but the thing is that Joyce puts up with David's crap a lot, and that's a choice that she makes because she's, I don't know, maybe lonely after her actual husband died. So there's that. And then obviously there's a lot. You spend a lot of time in the Price hellhole, or hellhole, that's what Coley calls it, but the Price is place. And like there's a lot. Holy cow, like there's a lot. And you get a lot of backstory with Chloe and Max if you sit on the sofa. Again, if it's about that flavor text if you want it or not. You don't have to sit on the sofa. You don't have to have Max remember a memory that Chloe and her drank wine for the first time and made a stain on the carpet that's still there. And you go outside, you go on the swing set, and she has a memory of treasure hunting with Chloe in the backyard, which is the bonus episode of Before the Storm, which is good.
Yes. And it's also the theme in that weird standalone episode they made with the Captain something. I forgot his name.
Captain Spirit.
Captain Spirit. There you go. He has to go through this weird tunnel and find some stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a side story.
That is.
The interesting thing about this episode, in the end, Chloe and Max go to the lighthouse, and Max has an episode, let's say.
Yeah.
So she starts to feel kind of weird. And I honestly, like in that particular scene, I didn't see the intensity from Chloe. Chloe just looks ahead, and then like Max feels bad in the background, and she goes like, nothing. Like there's no emotion. There's no kind of fear. They could have done that part a little bit better.
The great thing is about the other decision before with the pot is there's a very disconnect, seeing that there's obviously different choices that you can do. Obviously, if you take the blame in any way, Chloe will absolutely love you, and you'll get in her favorite books. And if you stay hidden, she'll still like you, but be kind of pissed. And then obviously, if you blame her, she'll be super pissed and actually not even wait for you and just leave. Which in my last playthrough, which is the footage you're seeing, that's what I did. Oh my god, and that's the 1%. 1% of people did that choice. And then in the following scene where she's at the lighthouse, she's still pissed and she shows it, but like halfway through it, the story picks up and then she has to be, hey, guess what? I have to like this. I have to like Max again. And then she just changes as moods. She just changes from being pissed at her to being like really concerned. And it's like, oh my goodness. It's like, it's just the disconnect is a little off-putting at times.
It is, yeah, and we'll talk about that later. I think it's in a later episode, maybe the second one actually. I don't remember. In the diner, is it the second one? Yeah, it makes sense. So, Chloe, right? I mean, she's okay. So, my best friend has this power, but we know that if she's using the power, it makes at least her nose bleed.
Yeah, as if she uses too much.
She does. She does. But it's like, okay, we know that, but hey, do it again. I just want to see it.
Oh yeah.
And that's just so kind of insensitive, right?
Well, the initial thing of her Max bringing up, hey, guess what? I might have, time travel powers. Chloe's like doesn't believe her at first. I love her quotes where it's like, this is not an anime or a video game. Little fourth wall breaking there. I love that because they were actually in a video game. And then obviously she needs proof. That's in the second episode. We'll get into more of that, I guess, when we get into the diner scene in the second one. But the big thing is the ending of the first one, which bring up with the storm, and we find out when it is.
Yeah. So weather anomalies are a theme in this game. There's many of them. Apparently, the game basically starts like around October 6 or 7, 2013. Let's say 7, just for the sake of argument. And yeah, so in the vision, you see this big kind of tornado coming. Again, this is very American because I think most tornadoes happen in the States, right? And people can relate to that. But again, October, I don't know, like we got October, November, December. October starts to get cold, but it's not quite cold to get snow though.
Well, I beg to differ here, but still, we had snow in late October a few times, but that's a different story. Of course, I'm live in the north, so.
But the interesting thing about the snow here is that somebody mentions it, I guess, is that the temperature outside is 90 degrees.
Yeah, that's Chloe.
Well,
I think Chloe
Fahrenheit.
mentions that it's like she goes like, "Oh my god, it's 80 or 90 degrees."
The hell is this?
Snowflakes?
It's like 80 degrees. How?
And it's snowing.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
You could just kind of chalk it off. It's a random freak weather event. It happens.
Yeah.
But obviously, it has more significance in the
Or
game.
does it mean something more?
Yeah, right.
That's the thing. And that's all about the whole thing. Let's get into the vision that Maxis has and a little bit of what that possibly could be. I did a bit of reading on the wiki. It's, again, a rabbit hole amongst itself. You can be for hours on there. And I was looking at alternative timelines and timelines in general. And there's apparently original timeline, which the game isn't. This is a different timeline you're playing through. The original timeline is where Max uses her powers only once, and that's in the bathroom to say Chloe. So I'm thinking, and again, either might be Revenants, they might not, I might be just blowing smoke up my ass, that her visions is from that timeline and somehow is connecting with the timeline that's currently going through when you're going through the game, and somehow is that Max is connecting with the current Max to change it.
Yeah, I mean, you can get pretty deep into this. I think, like, it depends how you see the game, really. I mean, is it, like, personally, me, I believe in the parallel dimension thing. I actually think it's a thing. We just can't demonstrate it yet, but I'm fairly sure it's there. So in that way, is it kind of a parallel dimension interacting with the past or with the present? There's tons of theories out there, and that's the good thing about this game, is that it makes you think.
Definitely does.
It's not just this one thing, but it's more kind of a tree with branches.
Oh, definitely.
And it makes you follow each branch and think like, what happens if I do this? And then like the butterfly effect, right?
Definitely.
So you think like something, like if I print something at home, the computer halfway across the world is broken or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
That's the butterfly effect in a nutshell.
That's true. And obviously, to bring that up, is the original name for the game was a What If. That was the original one. And they changed it because there's a movie apparently with the same name, and they didn't want to confuse, so they just called it Life is Strange. You know, again, a fitting name, because life is definitely strange, especially if you have powers and weird stuff has happened.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing about this game is definitely it makes you think about especially the bad decisions. Like usually in life, we all make, of course, bad calls. but at first you don't really kind of notice the implication. But in this game, like especially by the end, if you make bad decisions, it's really gonna stick with you,
Oh,
and it's gonna haunt you. Let me say.
oh, yeah. Oh, any of the frat boys are just like, okay, one track minds, frat boys, football. I think it's Zachary who says the greatest line I have ever heard, where it's like, "Football, Max, football."
Football, Max. Big football. Step away.
Yeah, no, the minor characters, guys at least, are very one-dimensional, and it's like, oh yeah, uh, frat boys, football, beer, and that's about
Pretty
it.
much.
That's the girls are a little bit different. They usually follow in their cliques, usually run by Victoria, and they're basically minions, but they have their own minds, which you kind of can weed your way into their stories if you want, but they're like subdued. They're like, when you go out of the dorm, going back to the parking lot, I think Taylor's just sitting by a
Yeah.
tree, and you don't really think, hey, maybe I should go talk to her. You kind of just be like, she's one of those girls Victoria hangs out with. So, you do want to do that, hey. But doing that, you get into a little bit of her story, of her sick mother and all that. So, and she opens up and be like, hey, guess, we're glad we talked.
One thing I want to bring up also is that this changing the past thing, right? This game will make you revisit all the choices that you made in life, good or bad. And then it's going to make you think about, if you had that power to turn back time, would you do things differently? In my case, for example, definitely some things I would do different. And then it's unfortunately going to bring up some regrets. But that's the way it goes. I don't. That's the way it went for me anyway. It brought up some memories, which, yeah, kind of definitely regrets. Let's say. How about yourself?
Oh, definitely. Like I said, this game came to a time where I was going through depression and regretting a lot of the past, and I was thinking about that. It's like, if I had these powers, I would go back and do things differently. But that kind of also, this game also made me realize, if I did that, like, essentially, I would go back to a time where I didn't have all this knowledge that I had, and I wouldn't be the person that I am now. And the thing is that it would be erased. So the thing is, if I went back and erased all the person I am back to the person I was, would I do the same thing and just do the same? Yeah, it depends on if you have the knowledge of what you had now and you go back, then you would do things differently. But the thing is, it might actually be worse, because, or it could be better. That's the thing. You really don't know, because it's a new path.
That's the thing. It's not just like black and white.
Oh,
there's layers of shades of gray in between, and you never know which shade you're gonna fall into.
A lot of shades, lots and lots and lots of shades. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that made me, it literally opened my eyes to be like, is life really that bad right now? Like, is it really that? Like, is it like, is the thoughts of the past and regrets of the past really affecting my way of living right now? It's kind of like, you see growth, I guess internal growth and external growth, where Max has done a lot of kind of internal growth, but not external growth. And then Chloe is quite the opposite, where she does a lot of external growth, and the internal growth is that she's literally 13 and just
Right.
kind of being that 13-year-old. But if anyone, everyone was against her, type of thing, and she's just kind of stuck in limbo, and she needs to kind of be looking at the world a little bit more. And again, that's probably me because of a parent talking, but still suffering through stuff. But again, she refuses to kind of accept the proper help because she wants to find kind of help on her own, doing her own thing. And she believes that, going through all the phases of, I think Joyce says, like, bad boys, the piercings, the dying, the drugs, and so forth. That kind of
And the bad grades.
the bad
and the bad
grades.
grades.
That's the thing. She
There
was
is
like
a
a
report
straight
card
A. She
behind-
was like
Yeah.
she was a straight A before all this happened, and then all this stuff happened, and she's like, screw it all. And again, this is like, the world's against me. Screw it all.
I think that's people can connect to that, right? I mean, in many ways, you could argue actually that the world is against you.
Yeah.
Definitely, the rules of the world, of society, are very much rigged against somebody poor, somebody at the
Yeah.
bottom. And these things are true. These are real problems, like, we have to solve as a society.
Well, I could see, the thing is, even though I don't like her as a character, I can see why lots and lots and lots of people connect to her.
Right.
I can see that. And I can be like, yeah, I get it. That's the thing, I get it. And she's like
Yeah.
one of the best voice person in the game. Like Ashley Birch, she does a phenomenal job at voicing Chloe. And again, I want to bring it up that she's not in Before the Storm, and I got really pissed about that. Might be why I don't like it, but still. Again, I don't like the character, but the character's design, meaning behind the character, is really well done. Like, I feel it's more, even though you're Max, you feel that Chloe is the main character also.
Yeah.
Like, they're almost equal. Even though you have no control over what Chloe does. In some ways.
Right.
But she, like, it's almost like a duality, like Max and Chloe. That's why they're in like every single like promotional thing, is that they are literally the same main character going through, well, not same main, but you play as one and you kind of guide the other.
I also gotta say, great music, especially in the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Although I do like some of the tracks in the other episodes as well. Definitely here. It's mostly by Jonathan Morali. I think it's Morales, but Morali, I guess. I don't know. Sid Matters.
Yeah.
So he's the one, like, To All of You, and also The Obstacles. Now, the Obstacles track, which is the ending track, is interesting. Because actually, if you read the words, it kind of tells you that you should be with Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
Even I think that song actually repeats in another episode. Again, it's to reinforce that point that you should be with Chloe at the end. And yeah, again, we'll talk about that in the future, because there is a comic that came out after the game, and I have it. And obviously, I haven't read it yet, but it goes into one direction, and by the time we get there, I'll have a look.
Well, we got 4 more episodes to go.
We do.
you have plenty of time to crack that up and give it a read. I'll bring this up just a little bit because it's a little thing. Is the amount of references in this game to music, TV shows, movies, and so forth. Like, the example is the license plates to everyone's car is it's not an abbreviation. It's like there's missing letters to make a word to a famous film or a TV show or so forth in this. Some examples is Chloe's truck is Twin Peaks. Frank's VR, which is the dirty VR, is Breaking Bad, which I find hilariously clever because of Frank's character.
Right.
Nathan's car is 6 Feet Under, the show. Again, a little on the nose there. Just a little bit there. And Warren's car is the X-Files.
Right.
That's just some of the big ones, but there is like every single car has some kind of connection to some TV show or movie that's deals with like either supernatural or sci-fi or like I guess Breaking Bad is like a dramatic one.
It is. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I haven't seen it. I know what it's about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So clevers like that. There's also tons of references in like the backgrounds you can check out. So it's clever. There's a lot of time to put in like a subdued reference in like Max's room that you would just gloss over because you're trying to find something. So I do find that rather good for the Undead developers to put that much detail into the game.
There's like science references again, butterfly effect, chaos theory, grandfather paradox. It's interesting. Again, these things are great to kind of talk about in a kind of separate thing because, like the grandfather paradox, that's a thing on its own.
Oh, yeah.
There was a kind of story maybe about 20 years ago now with John Titor. He claimed to be a time traveler from the future. He's actually featured in Steins Gate, which is another time travel thing. And he actually says that the grandfather paradox is not a thing because he has so explanations you can read about it if you're interested.
Yeah.
Just talking very briefly about the main villain, right?
Are we talking
It's-
the
it's
main villain, or are we talking?
Well, I just want to say, kind of without spoilers,
Okay.
let's say that you just finished the first episode.
Yeah.
Obviously you were introduced to some characters like Mr. Jefferson and David, Nathan, and others.
That could be potential villains. Yes.
Could be.
Yeah.
But just from the first episode alone, did you have an idea, like a clear idea? Okay, yeah, this is the main bad guy.
In hindsight, like who's behind it all.
Without hindsight.
But when I went through it the first time,
Right.
no idea.
Right.
Absolutely not. And that's great, like because it's the writing, and the world, and they again really put it thick on these characters and who they even like kind of direct you, like even with the whole Nathan thing, it's like you want to hate this guy basically. So
Yeah.
and it shows good writing. Like if you're invested in characters, again, you can have good writing, but the characters got to stand out because you remember more of the characters. Like I remember Nathan being an ass, but the thing is he really? But the thing is, you see cracks of decentness in him, even in this chapter. Like there's just cracks of it, and but the thing is, the developers want you to hate him in this one. Be like, yes, he literally killed this girl that you find out that is your best friend, and then you saved. But the thing is, Max saw
Right.
him shoot her. And the thing is, yeah, there's like he was attempts to kill her. So you want you want to hate this guy. So yes, there's just like that. Other than that, there's David, where he's just a dick. Just a dick. That's all. And the writers and the developers want you to think that, because he is not open. He does not talk about, his feelings or what he's doing and all that. He's stuck in his head. And what he actually what he does, he believes is right.
Right.
And that's the way he proceeds himself.
Yeah, for me, like I thought Nathan is he's like too young to be a mastermind. He could be, but I really didn't feel like he was. I really felt like he was a tool, which he is. Surprise, surprise.
It is.
So for me, after the first episode, I thought it was probably David, because he's like a control freak and he's a surveillance freak, and he has kind of a degree of power at the college because he's the main security guy. So that was my kind of feeling after the first episode.
I was thinking like there was someone more, but not introduced in this one. And then obviously at the end of the episode, where we get the montage with the awesome music, is that we see Frank for the first time, and we don't know who this is. That's the thing. So, and obviously he's disheveled and comes out of it like with a bong and all that. So he could be, and we'll get into more his character in the second one. But the thing is, who is this guy? He might be something more. So that's going to be pretty much it for at least the first episode. We talked your ear off for at least probably an hour and a half. Plus, we'll go with that. So I'm going to edit down a little bit. But other than that, holy cow. Like, we have 4 more episodes to go.
It does get better. Like, if you really enjoyed episode 1, trust me, the 4 next ones are even better.
Oh yeah, no, like if you're kind of lukewarm about this one, the next episode ramps it up like a steep hill. So it is but if you got if episode 1 got your hooks in there, you're definitely gonna enjoy the rest of the stuff. Though not as a company or a studio, was just coming off like a almost critical failure from Remember Me. Like, it did sort of well, but not what they wanted it to do. So they were struggling. And that's what a lot of studios kind of go to, that breaking point of like, we got to make a hit, or we're basically doing something else, or we're going to be disbanding the company and just doing our own thing. So
yeah. I actually played Remember Me. I know what it is. It's decent. It's not. It has its flaws, but it's decent as a game. It had those sequences where you had to kind of go back into time and change stuff, and I found those to be very difficult. Actually, like without a walkthrough, I actually thought it's impossible.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Great game. Definitely, if you're kind of new into gaming, because I know like a few people who are like, oh, well, games, but I don't know what to play. So
Yeah.
definitely a good one. Definitely a good one to get into gaming if you're, new into the field. And it, like I said, it just gets better.
Oh yeah, but definitely from here. It's a good starting point, and it's good to see that they just made more. Like it just
Right.
it just went from here, and they got quality all over the board. Music, art direction. Yeah, even the graphics. Like I like to say that the graphics are kind of bland and flat, but the thing is, it fits the style. Like I said, like at the beginning of this video, and it grows on you. That's the thing; it grows on you, and I really feel that they did a great direction, and that's probably what kind of took the hit in the budget is the graphics to put in like excellent writing and music and even voice talent. Voice talent is good. Like not everyone is not everyone is like great, but the main ones. Like I could not hear Max without I can't remember her name, but Max's voice actor do anyone else or Max do anyone else do Max or Chloe.
Right.
That's why I'm kind of
Right.
like a little bitter about Before the Storm, but we'll get there. And that's my final thoughts. Great game. Bring out the tissues. You're going to need them.
These days it's available on Steam, by the way, so you get the whole package.
It is
You get
on
the whole thing.
PC also.
Yep.
It's on PC. It's on PS4. I know. It's on Xbox One, I want to say. It's just on.
It's on mobile too.
It's on mobile too, yeah. And then of the recording of this actual here, the remaster collection just came out. So there's that also. So if you don't like the bland graphics of the original, they're slightly better.
My channel is lots of stuff, so check it out. You never know what's coming up.
And where can we find you on Twitch?
Twitch. I am OtakuOps69.
There you go.
But I
And-
don't do a lot of streaming. I mostly do a lot of recording and then on YouTube.
Well, still, you stream a few times, so
Still,
you
yep.
want to look there. And then obviously information is on the bottom here. And for my channel, I'm finishing up some old projects. Haunting Grounds, I'm finally finishing after like 2 years. And then I'm going to be going into Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remastered with my new style of webcam. Possibly with green screen because I'm actually enjoying the green screen and how it looks. Thank you for joining me on this great discussion of a epic game that's
Thank
just
you for having me.
beautiful. And obviously, episode 2 is probably going to be in the works, but not for maybe a couple weeks or a month from now or something, depending on that. We got to set this up, get notes and all that, prepare for it, and we'll go from there. And there we are. We are actually at the end of the actual video behind us because there's the snow.
Indeed.
Also, I want to point out that you did a cover of the song that's probably going to be playing on right about now. So definitely go check that out over his channel. I'll probably put it in the description also below, and I'll add a snippet at the end of the video here. Thanks for being on, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Right. Yep. Definitely stay safe. And OtakuOps signing off.
Yeah.
Today we will sell our uniform. Live together. Live